everyone. So I'm Brandon Jones from LRM Online, as you can see from my name tag at the bottom. First of all, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I had an opportunity to see Snakehead, and it was an awesome film. And so I just wanted to, I'm so glad that I get to talk to you all. I guess the first question I wanted to ask was, so I know that this was a labor of love, right? So this was a film that was at least a decade in the making. So Evan, for you, what is it like to finally gotten this off your chest to have made this film?
I mean, this movie, a 10-year journey is only driven and supported by passion, really. And that's the only thing that really fueled me to keep going with this. To get to be able to be talking to you right now is truly an unbelievable experience, right? To get the reaction we've been getting with this film, and just even being able to be here, right? To get this out in the world, right? Because that's all we really want for our art, is to really share with more people. And we all know how hard it is to make a movie. To get to this, to be here at TIFF, is just, it truly, truly incredible and a blessing.
Okay. Was it difficult to come from a mostly documentary style to move into a narrative storytelling?
Yeah, surprisingly, it was a lot more difficult than I anticipated. I spent 20 years in this, and so I knew how to make a movie. But creatively telling that story was very, very different than a documentary, right? I mean, everything and when you're shooting documentaries, everything you shoot is truth, and everything in narrative is you're trying to create that truth. And I had to really understand that perspective in the post, in the edit. And that's something that no one should be trying to figure out at that point, but I had to. And the other part, I feel like, with my documentary filmmaking and what was always important for me in any kind of storytelling is building the world. And I wanted to make sure that Chinatown, we capture this world, and when that becomes a character in this film, and in a weird sense, this film is a little bit of a documentary time capsule, because there's locations and restaurants and even the streets and the lights don't exist in New York Chinatown anymore. So in 20 years, we'll look back and be like, wow, this is what it looked like in 2016. And I think that's another part of my documentary aspect of preserving our own stories and our own histories.
Okay, that's really cool. Thank you. Jade, for you, so Evan mentioned characters, and the character that you played, Daima, is a very, for lack of a better term, she's able to, or you're able to, go from very maternal to menacing very quickly and very easily. Tell me about crafting this character.
Well, crafting, she's human. I mean, first of all, she's human. So you can't approach a character like this as straight off evil and straight off menacing. There's a reason why she's menacing. There's a reason why she does what she does, which comes off as being evil. But essentially, when you boil it down, she's doing it as protector. She's doing it to protect her family, to protect the community, to protect the actual people that she actually, trafficked in immigration. Yes, it was a brutal journey for them to come across, but they never would have had a better life in America had she not done that. So there's you know, does she come off as menacing? Yes, but
Sometimes, yeah.
like I said, you have to have a subtext to that character, and the subtext is what is her backstory? Why is she the way she is? So I don't find her menacing. I just find her as doing what she needs to do because no one else will do it.
And so this is a story that is based on a true story. And so did you go and look to see if this is an actual person, how, where this person came from, what was her actual background?
Well, I frequented Chinatown, when she was in Chinatown, but I never knew she existed. But I did read a book called The Snakehead by Patrick Keefe. And so there was another part that, that also showed a dimension in Sister Ping that I thought, we need to incorporate that into Daima. She has to have that side because everyone has a reason for doing what they do. whether it's a criminal, mass murderer. You have to find the other side of it. You have to find sort of the motivation behind that behavior. And that's what I did. I looked at, not just human trafficking, but also what is a dynamic of having that responsibility for the power behind what she has to do to protect a community, to protect her family.
Okay. Thank you for that. So Shuya, Jade just talked about doing what she had to do to survive. And the way that I viewed this film, so part Scarface, part Godfather, but also a story of survival, right? And so for the character that you played in Sister C, can you talk to me about that? How were you able to relate to this character?
Well, like I said, this is usually a character that played by men, not by female, right? So that's completely a different perspective on that. Again, I mean, she had to do what she had to do to get where she is, right? What was her objective? She is a smart woman to start with. She's very strong. She grew up in an environment that is not very normal, and she had to make choices to survive. Now, that's bigger than just surviving. She had to also survive for her daughter that she knows is in the United States. She's adopted there, and as a woman, at the end of the day, it comes down to family. That's important to women. At the end of the day, it's important to have family and be close to your children, and that's what was important to her. So she came to the United States. She got smuggled in, but at the end of the day, she knew what she had to do, and she had to make certain sacrifices. They may not be beautiful or good, but she tried to do the right thing for her and for her daughter at the end of the day. And she sees that also in Daima.
Okay. And so talk to me about that, both of you, please, both Jade and Shuya. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this film, and for me, one of the driving forces, was the relationship between the two of you all. Can you tell me how you all were able to craft that? How did you do that?
Well, first of all, it's amazing to work with Jade. She's such a grounded actress, and just to watch her involved in this character was mesmerizing to me, and I learned a lot through that. The relationship between them, again, it's similar in a way, right? They're both mothers. They live for their families, and they need to do what they need to do to get where they are, and to create those scenes. I mean, Evan was just so amazing and let us to be free as actors, gave us free creativities. A lot of time those scenes actually just happen on the spot,
For me, I think, yeah, I come from a theater background, and in theater, you're living, rehearsing, and doing the same show over and over again, 6 days a week, and sometimes 10 shows a week. And so you bond as a family. So, and doing this film, because I have that background, any project that I do, I want to be able to relate to the actor I'm doing a scene with on a personal level. I need to know the dynamic that we have on a personal level, and how do you transfer that dynamic or that rapport or that bond. Not necessarily playing it out if it's, it's a tete-a-tete scene, but at least that inner side of that person, and how much can they give you and how much can you give back. And that's how I approach the dynamic between Sister C and Daima. They have an automatic bond, but where does that come from? And I explore that in a real life personal level.
Yeah, and it did a really good job of coming off on the screen. It's very apparent. So Evan, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was about, so given that this was a journey that has gone on for so long, what was it that initially attracted you to this particular story?
What initially attracted to me with the story was the story of the Asian matriarch and what that represented. I think that obviously the sensational headlines and this woman smuggling hundreds of thousands. That's all really exciting. But what really got me deep into this character, and I think kept me going through all this, is paying homage to the strong Asian matriarchs in my life, right? The women that hold down the foundations in the communities that I'm from. And I knew that the story of Sister Ping and the story of Snakehead would be an amazing vehicle for people to be like, ooh, I want to see what that's about. I can put this archetype that I've never seen into this story. And that's what initially attracted me to it, right? And I think that's what actually kept me going all these years, because the story is still not told. And if no one's gonna do it, and who's justified to do it, besides us. So
yeah, absolutely. And so for that last point, for any of you or all of you who would like to answer, what does it mean for you all to be able to tell it's not necessarily a uniquely Asian story, but it's definitely an Asian story that's told here, and to have, both in front of and behind the camera, people who represent these people and these characters in this place and this time? What does that mean for you all?
I think it's important. I feel like it's important to tell those type of stories. I mean, we are just in the beginning of it, I feel, it's gotten a bit better for the last few years, but there's still so many stories to be told in our community in general, and also female stories in general. We need more of those.
And what it means for me is that immigration is such a relevant topic today. Human trafficking exists today, but we don't see stories. We see stories of human trafficking in the Asian society, and but it's across the board. It's global. I mean, it's global from the European side, from the, African side. We have this human trafficking happening in all cultural, societies, and we don't see what happens to these people because they're illegal illegal immigrants. And so we don't see their side of the story because they're afraid to speak. So in a narrative form, you're able to have that liberty to tell that story.
I mean, for me personally, I think it's super exciting that we're in this moment where representation actually matters, and the influence is actually come to our communities. I'm just, been in this for 20 years, and this has never happened before to what we're experiencing now. And I'm just excited. I'm really excited to be part of this new wave. I mean, we got Justin Chan's Blue Bayou coming out. We got, there's so many exciting filmmakers and films coming out from our community, and the talent is there. And I think the audience is ready to hear it. And so, I'm just excited what the next 10 years are going to look like for our communities making films and telling stories.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm excited for all of you. I really enjoyed this film again. And so I'm glad that people are finally getting to see this story. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.